Coming over now.
Let's clear this room on the right. Let's clear this room on the right.
I just did my best Neo imitation there.
Yeah, that's great. Way to go.
In the world of tactical first-person shooters, it's really kind of thin out here right now, with more than a few titles just calling it quits and walking away. Now, I've spent time with many of them. Ready or Not, 0 Hour, Insurgency, you name it. I've traveled down at least a small portion of that path. 14 years ago, this shooter was set to release, but was shelved as it was considered to be too controversial. And so it sat, gathering dust until it was again revived in 2021. 6 Days in Fallujah is on the cusp of releasing into early access on June 22nd. And thanks to publisher Victura, I was lucky enough to get my hands on an early developer build. I was given free reign. No sponsorships, no expectations, and no compensation. Just a chance to lay down some gameplay and post my honest thoughts and impressions. Now, I was able to squad up with Tactigamer, Blue the Robot, and Big Fry for some squad action, and we just seemed to keep repeating different versions of these basic descriptors. Incredibly immersive, insane audio, and hard as fuck. And you need to know that going in. During this firefight, I was holding down a back stairway with Blue backing me up, and I was running low and needed to get in a mag change. Blue called for the swap to take the lead, and that was it.
God damn it.
6 Days is very much like a Souls game. If you screw up for a tenth of a second, it's going to slap you on the ass. It's game over, full stop. You're just going to have to start over. I recently came off of about 20 hours of straight Battlefield 2042 gameplay, and diving into 6 Days, it took me a little bit of time to just slow down and appreciate just how freaking dangerous the Fallujah landscape truly was. Every encounter you have is super sweaty. Every bullet is lethal. You are constantly reaching out with all of your senses, looking and listening for any small clue as to where the next enemy could be hiding. And since I mentioned listening, let's talk about audio. And 6 Days has some of the best audio I've found in an FPS. I mean, hands down, it was awesome. It was wild to hear how it would change based on distances and surroundings. I mean, if you're just standing around outside and close to your squad, everyone sounds pretty normal. But if you enter a building, the sound narrows and begins to echo. If your squad spreads out, the volume of your squad mates lowers until you can barely hear them. At that point, you're going to need to use your comms, and you get that treble-laced, crackly electronic transmission ringing through your ears.
We're getting reports of heavy RPG fire in your AO. Watch for a store of heavy weapons nearby.
Straight to the
side of this wall.
Yep. Gunfire is also insanely loud, especially inside, and trying to communicate while in a fierce firefight becomes really difficult. Remember when I mentioned immersion? Yeah, 6 Days nails that. How you lower your weapon to operate your comms, those deliberate and long mag checks, enemies screaming and yelling, and even how when you fire your weapons inside, it tends to stir up huge clouds of dust, making target acquisition nearly impossible. All of this adds to this point that I'm making, that immersion in 6 Days in Fallujah is intense. 6 Days is also built on a system of using procedurally generated environments, and during our several hours of gameplay, the objectives would indeed change up, as would the structures, and this is going to give this game a bunch of hours of replayability. We would notice similarities, but when you thought you had it all figured out, the game would throw in another staircase you hadn't checked because you thought there were only 2 and this building had 3, and, oh, by the way, that's a squad wipe. As soon as you drop into Fallujah, you are immediately met with intense action. Within seconds of beginning this mission, we had a mortar barrage just drop down straight on top of us. Another one straight up from you, straight up.
Oh! Jeez!
Push it.
Okay?
We're down. 2 of us.
Other times, we were tasked with methodically clearing out a compound and holding for reinforcements. And all the while, you're frantically scanning the rooftops for snipers, checking each and every murder hole, and peeking every single corner. Like I said, 6 Days in Fallujah is sweaty. Now, is this game perfect? I'm going to be honest here, no game is, and 6 Days in Fallujah is not the exception. Far from it. It does have some rough patches. AI programming needs some tweaking, and some of the textures at further distances are really kind of low res. There's also some general wonky movement behaviors and QOL changes that need to be installed, but the bones of a great game are there, and the items that I mentioned feel like they can be improved on over time as the game passes through that early access period. Also, I was told we were playing kind of an early dev build, so maybe some of my mentions could already be addressed in the upcoming release version.
Come on.
I first covered 6 Days in Fallujah here on the channel a few years back, and it's since been delayed a few times, and I honestly didn't know what to expect when I finally got access to try it out. Was it going to look and play like the trailers? Was it going to hit, and how rough was it going to be? Well, overall, I was actually pleasantly surprised. This was an intense, immersive experience. Sure, it's a little rough around the edges, but there's a great game kind of buried in there. I had a blast with it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it going into early access later this month. I'm going to finish this one up with some raw gameplay footage for you, and here's where you really get to experience the squad coordination, the incredible audio, and just how freaking chaotic it can get when we start getting swarmed. I'm taking hits. I got him.
Anyone goes in, I'll call it over radio.
Grabbing a fresh mag. They're coming up this back stairwell. Who's down, guys? Who's down?
I'm still good up here. I'm still good. Just hold on for another 30 seconds, guys. Convoy's arriving. Looks like the insurgents are backing off. Copy that, Squad 3. We'll make sure the compound is clear. Alright, let's secure the rest of this compound.
So we got Fry still up on the roof?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay, so I got this front stairwell. I'm peeking it right now. And there's a stairwell. There's a stairwell over to the left. I'm gonna check that one out right now. Okay, so this is not a good stairwell to go down right here.
Where's Tacti at?
Very dead.
All right, one downstairs. I still got shooting down here in this doorway.
I just lagged super hard.
Straight across from me. Blue.
Okay.
We secured the objective.
Ooh.
Squad 3.
Good job, boys.
Nice.